Hello, my name is Arvind Gupta. I'm the Academic Director of the Masters of Science in Applied Computing program at the University of Toronto.
Hey folks, my name is Eugene Fiume. I am currently Dean of the Faculty of Applied Sciences at Simon Fraser University and technically Professor Emeritus at the University of Toronto. And I fooled around with the Masters of Applied Computing program somewhere 10 years ago.
Well, Eugene is the first director of the program, and I'm very happy to be speaking with him today and to learn a little bit about how the program started and what was in his mind as he was creating it. We hear from many students who apply to our program that they think MSCAC is the best program out there. What do you think it is that makes this program so great?
It really is a combination of a lot of the traditional things we see in a graduate program and then some secret sauce. The traditional part is pretty hard courses. I mean, there's no leveling off of the courses. They are taking graduate courses that all other research intensive graduate students are taking, and then some, because they take communications and they take a business course essentially. So very, very considerable academic training, and it's tough. Then there's the prospect, I think when they enter the program, there's a prospect of a career at the other end. So the career focus, I think, is a big deal. The cohort basis is really important for, the students may not know how important it is when they come in, but they realize how important it is when they really have, say, their first bad test. And there's a cohort of people to help out. And lastly, it's that applied research component that allows students to get not just work experience, something beyond, where they're really kind of close to the edge of what would normally be considered in kind of a somewhat risk-tolerant world of some computing application. Last thing I'll say, it's the support that they get from the faculty and staff that are part of the MSCAC.
I just want to get your sense of some of the big successes. You know, now we have 70 students in the program, up from the 6. So what's that, a 12-fold increase in 10 years? Over 1,000 applications to the program every year, over 200 companies applying to the program. 92% of these students stay and work in Canada. It must be the highest rate of any program like this. So what do you think about when you hear these kinds of successes?
Well, it's hugely inspiring, but I can't claim credit. I can claim a little credit, but when I look at the steps along the way, there were people involved all the way along who added immensely to it. And then, just being able, for example, to hire Matt Medland, who was one of the first generation of our graduates, to really run the program operationally and also to do outreach and to find Claire Mosses as a part of it and to find a champion, an unlikely champion in someone like Alan Borden, who's a theoretician, as you are. And so we brought it to a certain level that I think was really very cool. I think we got, we're 40 or 45 students, but then you came on board. And it was in that transition something else started happening. Data started happening. And there was really an explosion in or desire to focus on some kind of data science or big data or machine learning.
What's interesting for me is that we've seen a number of large US companies showing up in Toronto and Asian companies showing up in Toronto to build R&D labs. And we're often seeing them knock on our doors and say, oh, we heard about this great program that can help us staff up our new research lab that we're building down the street. Much more than I'd say Canadian companies. And I find this an interesting phenomenon. And why is that happening? Why are they seeking us out much more quickly than homegrown companies?
That is a really good question. Travel helps in a lot of endeavors, not just in technology. If one travels, one gets a sense of how things are done elsewhere, and it could well be that we've got a bit too local or parochial view of how little R and big D are done. There's also an issue of resourcing. And that's the number of times I heard when I was knocking on doors, we'd love to participate, but our heads are down. We just can't get past, we can just go quarter by quarter. And that is a problem when there's either insufficient funding or there's just an overly lean approach to the way the company is operating. I think you probably could answer that question better than I. I mean, what do you think?
Well, definitely scale matters. When you're a very large company, you have the ability to seek out the best talent anywhere in the world. The smaller you are, the more local you are in your thinking. It's natural. And I think one of the missions of a program like this is for us to go out and make the case to Canadian companies outside our local ecosystem. It's just too easy for this program to say, well, we've got 1,000 companies within a couple of kilometers,
right,
so let's just talk to them. Partly we have to make sure that companies across the country realize there's an opportunity, but then this goes back to say, well, we're not going to do this with 70 students until we have 700 students and 7,000 students. And so I like to see us be very proactive in trying to expand this program into other universities.
I think it's essential. And, really, the more the merrier.